Thanks for coming at such short notice here. We have here Chief of Detectives James Essig and his team to give you updates on stories that you, of course, the media and the public will be interested in, very much so. We're going to take questions on that, and then we'll have off-topic on any other questions that you might have to ask answered, okay? Without further ado, Chief Essig.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Jimmy Essig, Chief of Detectives. With me is Inspector Nick Fury, Commanding Officer of the Central Robbery Division. So first, I'd like to update you on a particular despicable crime committed yesterday in the Brownsville section of Brooklyn. At approximately 1 a.m. on Tuesday, September 27th, an 81-year-old female awoke to noise in her living room. Upon entering her living room, she observed her neighbor in her apartment. The subject began to choke and punch her, and she lost consciousness. When she was treated at the local hospital, it was discovered that she had a dislocated jaw and various clothing items were missing. Detectives from the Special Victims Division were quickly able to apprehend this male. He is Thomas Johnson, male, 50 years old. He is a registered sex offender with a risk level 3, which is our highest level. He has 9 prior arrests: in August of 21 for strangulation, in August of 2006 for sexually abusing a 5-year-old female, which he pled guilty and served 1 year, and that's why he was a registered sex offender. In March of 03 for an assault, June of 1995 for an attempted murder, which he pled guilty to assault, in February in 94 for grand larceny, and he takes 3 other arrests in January, March, and September of 91 for grand larceny and assault. Detectives obtained a search warrant for his apartment and his person. Recovered was a bloody T-shirt and his bloody clothing. He is presently charged with assault, 2nd degree, for an elderly female over 65 years old, strangulation, and burglary. And there may be additional charges in the future on this one. Another case I'd like to update you on occurred on Sunday, July 24th at 11:50 a.m. at 922 Remsen Avenue during a church service in which 3 males wearing all black and ski masked entered the location while Pastor Lamar Whitehead and his wife Asia were preaching. 2 of the males proceeded to the stage, displayed a firearm, and demanded his property and jewelry. His wife, who was sitting to the left of the stage, also was robbed of her jewelry at gunpoint. A total of $1 million in jewelry was taken. This incident was being live streamed on Facebook and lasted approximately 1 minute and 30 seconds. Investigators from the Brooklyn Robbery Squad and our Federal Task Force Sparta, consisting of NYPD detectives and ATF agents, were able, through various investigative means, consisting of video and electronics tracking, were able to identify these perpetrators. On Thursday, September 22nd, these 3 individuals were indicted by the Eastern District of the U.S. Attorney's Office. Today, September 28th, members of the NYPD and ATF executed arrest warrants. Arrested was Juwan Anderson, 24-year-old male of 20 Monroe Avenue in Brooklyn. He has 2 prior arrests: in July of 2020 for a domestic violence assault misdemeanor, and earlier in this year in January for an unlicensed operator. Second male was arrested and taken into custody is Saquon Pollock, 24-year-old male of 1414 Bergen Avenue in Brooklyn. He has 7 prior arrests, all from 2015, 1 for disorderly conduct. He also has 6 counts of robbery, all occurring in October and November of 2015. They were part of a borough pattern robbery, street robberies, which he was sentenced to 5 years in jail. He also was arrested in August of 2020 in Nassau County, and in Pennsylvania, he has a warrant out him for criminal possession of marijuana. A third individual we have identified, but we will not be releasing his name at this time. Both were arrested and charged with a Hobbs Act robbery, which is robbery in the first degree. With that, we'll take any questions.
State your name and your media outfit, please. I'll point you out.
Files from Channel 4. Just about the Bishop robbery, was any of the jewelry recovered?
No.
And has the Bishop been cooperating with the investigation?
The jewelry has not been recovered, and the pastor has cooperated fully with this investigation.
Next.
John Doyle, CBS. Do they know why the pastor was targeted in particular?
Well, if you look, there's a pattern throughout the city, throughout the last few years, high-end jewelry robberies being targeted. The pastor live streams, he has high-end jewelry robberies, so we suspect it's that.
Rocco?
Chief, what was the decision-making process? I mean, no federal, talk a little bit, how the decision generally gets made, how it happened with this case.
Well, I mean, we use the federal statute. Nick, you could talk about this? Yeah.
Yeah, so how are you? I'm Inspector Nicholas Fiore from Central Robbery Division. So we have a joint robbery task force that we utilize out of Central Robbery Division, which partners with the ATF task force, where we utilize Eastern and Southern District on very violent cases, and what's called Hobbs Act robbery, where we get, especially with a firearm, we get the best bang for our buck. We get a 10-year minimum on a robbery with a firearm, and that's the best place where we saw this. A very, very violent robbery crew that we saw, with no regard to anybody, going in the middle of mass, holding a child at gunpoint. That's a pretty rough robbery. So that's where we decided to take it that way.
If a robbery fits the statute, we use it as a tool. We do it many times.
The third person's still being sought, right? He's not in custody.
No, he's not in custody. He's being sought.
Okay, and the two who were arrested, were they rented their homes?
They were both. Yes, they were both arrested at their addresses that I gave.
Any other questions on these two cases? Okay, we'll go off topic now. Rocco?
Chief, actually, just regarding the sex attack in the 7th grade. So their neighbors, what's the relationship like, if any, and was there forced entry, or did she leave the door unlocked?
They are acquainted. She knows who he is. He's an upstairs neighbor of him, and he as to how he got in, that's still to be determined.
And the year sentence he got for the kid, when did he plead to? Because obviously he faced more upon arrest.
Yes, he sexually abused a child. He pled to a lesser charge. We'll get that to you, and he did 1 year for that.
Okay, let's
That
move
was
on.
a
Other questions?
pretty despicable crime against the kid and then the woman.
I'm sorry, Chief. I just wanted to ask about you guys put out an RMA, series of 3 attacks, 3 sexual attacks in Fort Tryon Park. Is there any update on what this may be about?
Yeah, that's a male on a black scooter. He's driving around. He's hit September 14th, 12:30. He hit September 24th at 10:50, and again a couple of days earlier. So he's hit 3 times. He rides around on a scooter. We put out images of that. If anybody sees or knows anything, please call us with Crime Stoppers. But no update as far as that. We're just asking for the public's help, anything they can to get to us.
It seems like these attacks have become increasingly violent. What's the message for people who use these parks if this happens in daylight?
Yeah, and the message: be cognizant of your surroundings. We see crimes like this, not only sexual attacks, but robberies, shootings with these scooters. Many times the persons, as you see in this, they're masked up. They're very hard to identify. Detectives have to track that scooter a long ways. But be very cognizant of your surroundings, particularly when these scooters come on. They can zip out. That's why the perpetrators are using them. They zip in and out of traffic. They move quick. They're very difficult to stop. And, that's the new mode of operation our perps are using, whether it's a robbery, shooting, or in this case, sexual offenses.
Tina, New York Post?
Hi. So we had 12 shootings overnight, I believe, in as many hours. What's going on? September, not so hot out anymore? What do you
Well, Yeah, the 12 people shot, I think 2 separate incidents with 4 people shot, one in the 2-8 in Harlem, one in the Richmond Hill, 6 separate incidents. They're all still very early, under investigation. But, you know, the patrol services deploys, housing deploys. We have regular meetings on what's going on, what we see. A lot of guns out on the street, a lot of guns on the street, and people aren't afraid to use them. I think the police commissioner, chief of department talk all the time about how many guns we are taking off the street on a daily basis. But as many as we take off, there's still a lot of guns out there.
Miles?
Do you know anything about the man shot in the head this morning at 4-6? It seemed like maybe part of that scooter robbery.
Yeah, that's very, very early. I think that happened early in the morning. Again, scooter, male shot. It's still under investigation whether it determines. But again, these scooters, cars, changing plates, we've seen that so many times in the last 2 years.
Rocco?
Chief, last night the indication regarding the 4 shot and the 102 is that they were all innocent bystanders. Is that still the case? And the same question for the 4 shot opponent.
Okay, so this is still very preliminary. It's ongoing. We believe that car, the black BMW hatchback, it was on the scene approximately a half hour before. The 2 male blacks exit the vehicle. They go into park. They circle the park a little bit. So they're obviously looking to target somebody. We believe one of the 4 is the intended target. 26 shell casings recovered on the scene, and 3 of the persons were probably at this point unintended victims.
So yeah, there are 2 more questions after that, Rocco. There are 2 more questions after that, Rocco. Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry. The 4-person shot or the one on 125th Street? The 4-person shot? The 4-person shot, you know, that's the location very familiar to us. That's still under investigation. We don't have a motive on that as of yet.
Okay, Sonia Ricone, please.
Regarding the scooters being used in crimes, they usually don't have license plates, right? So what's the best way that people can look at them to just try to identify them, to link them to what cases or to just help them know?
Well, I mean, and Nick can speak out of scooter robbery patterns we have throughout the city. I think last count it was up to 16, 17 different patterns. We have shooters on this. And again, as you mentioned, no plate. 2 people, if it's usually 2 people on a scooter, if they're going to do a crime, one's going to shoot off the back, one gets out and does a robbery. They're always masked up, full masks. Some wear sunglasses, some wear helmets, most don't. But they're covered up pretty good when they're doing a robbery. And they're zipping in and out of traffic on the sidewalks. So if you see something like that, try and call 911 or, you know, get a good picture of them, and because they're probably up to no good.
2 more questions, if that.
Chief, as what you said with the scooter robberies, are they telling patrol to be aware of these scooters and guys dressed like that? And
Yeah,
letting them stop?
Yeah, Chief Madry and the Chief Patrol's office, they're constantly doing scooter operations. I believe we just had a briefing on it over the weekend where they've confiscated 800 scooters, ATVs. It's a very difficult stop for patrol if you're in a car to stop one of these scooters. If anybody's seen them riding up and around, it's a very difficult task to do. And that's why the perpetrators are using them. But we do operations all the time. That would be patrol services.
Any more questions?
Regarding the Bishop robbery, is there anything that you can say about the investigation or helping these individuals?
You know, just, you know, and again, same MO, come in, masked, guns, run in the cars, take off. Very, very difficult investigation, intense investigation where we have to track video for miles and miles and miles, hours and hours that go into these things. And just kudos to the Central Robbery Division and the ATF help in being able to track them down.
Okay, last question, Tina.
Have you ID'd the lady who was found in suitcases at night?
Yes. Yes, she was ID'd yesterday at the ME's office by the family. She's Daisha Johnson. She's a female, 22 years old, who lives at 315 Linwood Street in Brooklyn.
Did they identify the person of interest
That's still a very active, intense investigation. Detectives from the 7-5 Precinct Detective Squad and Brooklyn North Homicide are reviewing video, and, you know, it's like, I can't release any information at this time, but it's a very active investigation.
Okay, thank you.
The inspector just spelled his name. Just get the inspector's name.
F.
F-I-O-R-E, the last name.
And the first name again?
Nicholas.
What is C-H?
N-I-C-H-O-L.
Inspector, right?